boys, I did it again. So obviously with the 240Z, if you saw my last couple videos, I found that while painting that car, I found irreversible body damage, quote unquote irreversible, at least to the local shops I took it to. And I was kind of pissed because I wanted to track that car. And so after some contemplating, I'm deciding to sell the 240Z, and holy shit, sacrilegious, a 280ZX is replacing a 240Z. Whoa. And the mission is the same. It's to track the car. So this is a 79 base model 280ZX. And keyword base model, there were not many base model 280ZXs. They were very hard to come by because 280ZX was a flagship of technology and prestige for Nissan. So this one has no power windows, doesn't have the rear wiper, it's got crank up windows, no cruise control, manual rack and pinion steering. And that means it's the lightest 280ZX ever. These clock in at just over 2,500 pounds versus a loaded slick top being about 27. So the story is, this car was supposed to be running and driving, but I'm afraid it was running and driving 2 weeks ago, but then the 10-year-old fuel clogged up the system once it got pumped into the fuel injection. So it starts, but it sputters and doesn't move. So with a lot of negotiation, I ended up paying about half of what the asking price was, but I'm satisfied. You know, for one thing, this thing only has, you know, 2 owners and 106,000 miles on it, so it's still very young. And aside from the faded paint and the rust spots, it's actually in pretty solid shape. So I brought ramps with me and I got this thing up in the air. I went underneath it because obviously I don't want to buy, you know, a third car in a row that's got frame damage unbeknownst to me. So I jacked it up, I went underneath, and aside from some rust on the frame, which I will address, everything is straight and true. This car has not been in an accident. It's a clean title car. And it looks pretty solid underneath, structurally wise. But the plan is basically the same as last. Build a car for the damn track. So this is going to be the real hooligan motorsport build. Like, I know for a fact now that this car has got a solid structure and is appropriate to modify the suspension and everything else. So this is the real build, boys and girls. This is the one. I have finally found a car suitable for my mission. All good?
Yep.
All right. Hey, feel free to give me a call or a text if you need some directions.
For sure.
All right. Here she is. Home sweet home. Well, here she is, my new to me 79 280ZX base model. There might be some wind noise in this little clip, so I apologize. But yeah, I got her up on the flatbed, got her towed home, and this is where she will be until I get her running properly. So here's the story on this car. It was originally a light blue color. It was parked sometime in, from what I can tell by the fees that were paid when the last owner bought it, it was parked, I'm going to say, in 2003 or 2004, acquired in 2008, fees were paid, new plates were issued, and then from 2009 to present, it sat again. I'm not exactly sure why, but this car really hasn't been regularly driven for at least 15 years, which I guess explains the low mileage, 106,000 miles. And it was painted in 2008 when the owner before me acquired it, but then it just sat. So Obviously, you know, I mean, the paint job itself was pretty decent. I mean, they got all the door jambs, they got the engine bay for the most part and that sort of stuff. But it just sat, and it was, I would only assume it wasn't washed or waxed, and the paint just kind of faded out. Now here's the situation with the engine. Well, the engine itself is fine, it's just the fuel injection system is all plugged up. It sat for who knows how long with old gas in it. Recently, like a couple months ago, they put fresh gas in it and they drove it for like a mile to get checked out. In the meantime, what I'm guessing is the system picked up all kinds of crap from the tank and is now clogging up either the fuel injectors or the fuel rail. Because it does build fuel pressure. You let the fuel pump run, it builds pressure, and it starts and it runs for a little bit, but it doesn't take throttle. And then after about a minute of running or less, it'll stumble and die out. I've pulled the line off of the fuel filter just to make sure that it's actually getting fuel up here. And there was a massive explosion. I mean, this is when the engine was off, mind you, and the key was off. A massive geyser of friggin' orange, nasty, disgusting fuel that just absolutely sprayed out of this thing at who knows how much pressure. But so I'm thinking, since there was so much damn pressure built up behind it, that something in here is clogged and it's not getting to the injectors all the way. And that's my theory so far. It's also got a couple of coolant leaks. As you can see, there's a heater hose there. There's another leak behind the injector fan, which I won't be able to show you. That needs to be addressed before we do any serious driving. But as far as getting this thing running, I'm going to start with the fuel system. I may have to replace the injectors because they do sound really loud. So I'm thinking maybe the solenoids are either clogged up or something. So I may have to do that, or well, I most likely will have to do that. But I don't know. Hopefully I can try to do something to at least get it running on all 6 in the meantime. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we'll put the key in. We'll turn it on. You can hear the fuel pump. It sounds like it's kind of struggling, to be quite honest. But we'll turn the key. Oh, maybe not this time. See, it'll run real stumbly and weak, you know, for a minute or two. If I give it any gas at all, it cuts out, like it runs out of fuel. So that's the situation there. So the interior itself is really not bad. I mean, it's very dirty, but as you can see, the door panels are in pretty good shape. There's a tear here. And on the passenger side, I mean, this one's nearly mint. I've taken the cover off the driver's seat, and the seat, aside from a little tear down here, I mean, looks perfect. It's got the original vinyl and fabric on here. All the bolstering feels really good. The leather still feels soft and pliable to an extent. Could definitely use some Armor All, but that looks pretty good. All of the plastics, you can tell they are, you know, especially around the column and the console. Some of these plastics are definitely on their way out. You can see that it's starting to turn into crumbs from all the hot East Bay heat, but nonetheless they are together. And the dash is okay. There's a couple of tears in the dash. There's 2 here by the vents and then another by the speaker. Pretty typical, you know, for your average 280ZX in, I guess, this kind of situation. There's this thing on the roof. I don't know what the hell this is. I've never seen anything like this before. It looks like it's some kind of amp, or I don't know, maybe it's some surround sound type deal, but it's got like a volume knob here and like a tuner for speaker tone. And it's got some strange cables. Like, this looks like some sort of jack for like a CB radio sticking out of here. And it comes through the center console. Yeah, there is definitely some weird wiring in this thing. Like, you got something going in the fuse box down there. That's kind of rigged. Got some other miscellaneous wires strewn about back here. I think it's like all radio related. I don't think you know, it's anything messed with the actual chassis electronics, but it's strange. But of course, all of this interior stuff will be totally sorted out once we get it running and driving good. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching this little overview of my new project car. Obviously there's going to be a lot more on this car, and in the next episode we're going to try to get her running and driving again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.